Let's see. やっと公園に着きました。Something をしましょう。Let me guess. Picnic. Where's my picnic? There it is. Oh, hey, Shady.
ピクニック
Yo, whose emote is that? It's actually really funny. Oh, it's Dan's Gaming. Oh, I didn't realize you watched Dan's Gaming. Old school guy. Father figure. Like it. Next to Co-Carnage and etc. Right? Co-Carnage. Maximilian Dude. Shoutouts to them. Father figures. Yep, you tend to watch Dan and Co. Yep. I'm not surprised. And Max. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Shady. Remember this. We are resonating people. So no matter what I do, it's statistically unlikely that we differ in things. Like if I start listing things I do, you probably do also. Yeah, Dan, Co, and Max. Those are the three father figure / like consistent content creators who are also live streamers, right? Dan, Co, Max. Yep, without a doubt. Without a doubt. They coincide all the time. Funny. How are you, Shady? How are you? They're all slightly older than me too. Actually, I'm not sure if Dan. I think they're plus or minus 5 years off of me, right? Most of them are 5 to 7 years off me. Let's see. やっと公園に着きました。ピクニックをしました。しましょう. Yeah. We were expecting this picnic eventually. It's the same unit. So they're combining the picnic, the outdoors activities unit, with this unit. Doing alright, hanging out while I do my language studies, then probably going to curl up on the couch and watch more of the Chinese version of Three Body Problem. Oh, I should watch Three Body Problem. You've got me the Chinese version? As in, did China release a Three Body Problem Chinese version? Or is it Three Body Problem in Chinese? I know how this sounds, but Chinese production tends to also have their own Chinese version of mainstay Hollywood, like mainstay productions, much like Japanese and, you know, like for example, the reverse, like Infernal Affairs, right? A great example. Martin Scorsese's The Departed would be the Americanized version of Infernal Affairs. Is it like that? Is that what you're referring to? I'm getting too sweaty about I'm getting a little sweaty here. Just a little bit. I need some clarification
やっ
here.
と公園の入り口に着きました
Because then I need to know which one I need to watch or I'm gonna watch. Three Body Problem is originally a sci-fi trilogy written by Chinese author. Okay. And last year, a Chinese version of the show released on Amazon Prime that covers all 3 books. Ah, okay. Yeah. So, it's kind of like an old boy situation, if you know what I mean. Shout outs to Korean cinema as well. But there's so many. Like, what's a one that's not Asian, East meets West? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is another great example where there are multiple versions, right? And then this year, yeah, Netflix really, yeah, I saw the Hollywood version of the show. Like, I saw that there was, like, Netflix released their version. And yeah, it's by the Game of Thrones peeps. Yep. Yeah, they're renewing for the rest of the book. Yeah, so I was trying to make sure that you're watching, you really meant the Chinese version. I should watch the Chinese version. I quite liked Infernal Affairs. When I saw The Departed first, Martin Scorsese's Departed, and then I went back to watch Infernal Affairs. Even though there were a lot of sequels, I didn't think the sequels really... I'm not sure if people ask, but cop dramas are one in a down, you know, one of many. The Netflix version was alright and got me interested in the premise of the series, and I heard that the Chinese version is basically a word-for-word version of the book, so watching that now. Ah, yeah, I do that too. You gotta, you know, you gotta hear all, you gotta see all the versions, right? Or at least if you're interested, personally. If you're interested, you know, if you're piqued, I like watching, even in horror films. Like, you know, there was a time when Hollywood was incredibly fascinated by Japanese horror, and things like was spawned by like Ringu, and then Grudge came out and all that. Then I went through a spiraling of Japanese horror films, even going back to The Audition. And then I started dabbling in like Miike's work and whatnot. So like Ichi the Killer kind of thing. But that's enough of that. Sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But I did watch both of the versions. I mean, they were still horror films, but it's fun. It's a little different from, I don't know if you're interested. I'm sure I know the response by now. But do you ever follow the Gojira saga between like the West and the East? Because I still haven't been able to see Shin Godzilla 0 or minus, or Godzilla minus Godzilla. I don't know what order the words are, but I really like the Shin Godzilla. So Gojira quite a lot. I don't know if you also dabble in both, because I still watch the US, like the US's thing too, and the US thing was like going a little ham. They were releasing like 3 or 4 movies for every one Japanese counterpart, and it's not quite the same. Obviously, it's not like it's taking it to the next level, where it takes the premise of the kaijus and you can compare and contrast the type of target audience and like the way they present information and how they build compositions. It's such a interesting way to see the juxtaposition between two different cultures approaches. Japanese horror is incredibly unsettling to me. I can do US horror without much excitement, but yeah, oof, it's really unsettling. Japanese horror, it's something else. And it's probably also unsettling in the sense that it's not normalized as well. So, you know, like US horror is incredibly ubiquitous, and it's so ubiquitous in the sense that you might also be less unsettled because it's also normalized, right? Like things that are less anxious and possibly disturbing can also be numbed. It can also be due to mere exposure. And then Japanese is unsettling. At least my initial foray into Japanese horror was a little bit unsettling due to its novelty and its unexpectedness. But after a while, mind you, I'm not suggesting you should mere expose yourself until numbness, but after a while it becomes like you kind of get acquainted with it. It almost feels like a comforting thing. Not that I spend most of my time watching horror stuff, but it's quite different and I like it. Yeah, there's a place, right? They'll both have their places. You have to understand the audience, right? The culture that they're catering to, right? Movie is still also a business, and their psychology, and then the creators have visions, and the visions are shaped by their culture. So it's really great when you have an example of really being able to contrast between two cultures. I recently got into Bollywood, And now Indian cinema is making their way around that isn't Bollywood, but Bollywood started trending recently. So I watched like RRR. It was a blast. I freaking love Bollywood too. It's so refreshing how to be so esoteric with their culture. So it's certainly my comments certainly sound like someone who's dabbling in things, and that's fine. Like, I don't mind being a weeb and stuff. I'm basically the equivalent at the moment of a weeb for Bollywood, because I only watched like 7 Bollywood films. Haven't really dissect what the essence of Bollywood really. You learn the tropes and then you start to pick out the tropes from the genre. Yeah. I was a big fan of RRR for like a breakout trend for Bollywood in like outside of India. Your exposure to Bollywood is when a corridor crew broke down. Yes. Yep. That's why I watched RRR. Shady. Why do we even have to tell each other about our motivations anymore? Because I watched corridor crew. That is why I watch RR, by the way. When they started reacting and breaking down Bollywood, that's when I pulled the trigger and started watching Bollywood. RR was the reason. Like, Corridor Crew was the reason. 70% to 80% of my motivations about Bollywood owed to them. Yep.
やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
Yeah. Now I'm starting to wonder if we have any voluntary intellectual interests that are different, if you know what I mean. So I think this would be a fun experiment to see, a social experiment, to see if we have academic curiosities that are different. I can think of one. Did you play a musical instrument in your life? We could get a little bit more specific, so just to make sure that we're not, you're not like an AI of me, or am I not like an AI of you? You did? You were in band like 7 or so years ago? And then you played a guitar into that. Okay. So you're a band person. For shame. Oh, wait. But that can be ascribed to our cultural upbringing, which that is not fair game. So I didn't join the band because I picked up the violin, and it's because my parents are Asian, so there's a kind of a stigma, a stereotype against brass instruments or like woodwinds. So I picked up a violin, and now I play a guitar in addition to that instrument. Yes, I do have 2 guitars. You played the alto saxophone, so a woodwind. Interesting. Of all the things, you picked up a woodwind. I mean, my parents would have been accepting of a woodwind or a reeded brass instrument. I tried the trumpet first, and my parents was like, no. Heck no. If at all, my sister got a chance at the clarinet, which is a woodwind, right? Because of the reed. But I ended up with the violin. So I was a violinist. And now I do play the guitar. Your sister played the clarinet. That's so funny. Sorry. Like, you could pick a lot of instruments. There are so many instruments, but it's kind of funny. It's very funny. And I think that's more of a cultural thing. But the instrument that I picked voluntarily was the guitar. So I do own 2 guitars. In fact, you might be able to. It would be really okay. Here's a Hail Mary pass just to see how crazy this is. Who do you? What kind of guitar do you think? If you had to name a celebrity, right? that would influence me to buy their guitar, which one would it be? This would be really scary if it's the same one. I think I would personally think that you're an AI at this point of me. If you're able to narrow down what was my most recent guitar, which celebrity who happens to be a guitarist would influence me to buy their guitar. And we're not talking about a YouTube content creator. I'll narrow it down. Like a musician celebrity. Ooh, that would require me to keep up with which celebrity has their own guitar for sale. So this celebrity, if I can probably narrow it down to you. Like, it's a celebrity that's iconic for their guitar. As in, like, it might not be a guitar that they own, but they also might have guitars that they own. But we're specifically talking about the celebrity themselves. So I'll let you, if you guess it on the first shot, I would be very scared at this point, because that's an awfully low. Is this the realm of acoustic or electric guitar? Knowing yourself, what would you think my guitars are? Like, if you had to pick, what would you lean towards? It is an acoustic guitar. It is an acoustic guitar. So you want the... It's probably not a 50-50, but you got that. Yeah, it is an acoustic. There are a few choices. So that's why I don't think you're going to get it. However, it can happen. It's like I'm going to say like a 33% chance. I can think of 3 that would fit the profile. It is a celebrity. So we're not talking about like some indie person, right? I specifically mean celebrity. I'm so scared right now.
やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
やっと公園に着きました。
着きました。やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
入り口。Oh yeah.
入り口。
入り口。
着きましたです。やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
やっ
と公園の入り口に着きました。やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
I'm going to assume it's not one of Taylor Swift's fabulous guitars. That is correct. You can assume that. It's not one of Taylor Swift's fabulous guitars. It is not. And I'm just gonna be real with you. You're already in the ballpark though. And you probably know the same facts that I do as well. That's why you're thinking of Taylor Swift. Probably. I probably know your motivations of thinking about Taylor Swift. Wow. Of all the people to pick, my brain goes like Ed Sheeran, and it's definitely not. You don't believe it is Ed Sheeran though. Okay, so you didn't go. Good. We're still different people. It was Ed Sheeran though. I have a St. Martin's 3.25 travel guitar. The very same one that Ed Sheeran used before he started releasing his own line of guitars. Because I have small hands.
やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
You're a bit creeped out that the very first person I thought of was Ed Sheeran, but I thought that was too easy, so you didn't believe it. Oh my god. Listen, when you said Taylor Swift, the only way I could have ascertained that you mentioned Taylor Swift is you already thought about Ed Sheeran. Like that's the only way. Because, you know, Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, right? When you think of guitars, but you also think of couples or former couples. It's Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift. So, well, there you go. I guess maybe you are my AI bot at this point. Who's the real one though, Shady? That's the better question. Who's the real one? You know? I know you're learning Chinese, but I already know a lot of Chinese. So like who's the real one here? Are we having like a isekai moment? Is this what's happening here? All right. I got one. Apple, iOS, or Android. That's done. Like let's might as well throw in the coin flip. iOS or Android.
やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
I think this one kind of breaks. I have an answer for this, but it is a coin flip. So this is more like serendipitous coin flipping. If I know myself well enough, I can make an argument for both. So it would be more serendipity than it is preferential.
やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
Iriguchi. Why does Iriguchi is exit? Yes, exit. Oh no, this one's really hard to decide. I haven't seen enough to be able to make that call since your camera and what you show on screen doesn't really give me much to go on. Oh, you're doing deduction? Wait. There is a clue, though, in my camera. But thank good, it's very small, so you can't actually see it. But we're not about, you're not trying to guess me. Yeah, it's the pixel box in the background. Alright, well, that ruins everything, doesn't it? That ruins everything, doesn't it?
やっと公園の入り口に着きました。
ドーナツをもう一つください。
But I'm asking you, are you an iOS or an Android person currently? I was Android for a long time, but when I went to Japan, you swapped to iOS. Yeah, it's because it's a 90% of the market share. And so now I am. Yep. So this is kind of unfair, Shady. So this is a little bit unfair. If we're saying, so let's make the assumption. Let's say you and I are similar, right? The thing about iOS and Android is that functionally, if we were to execute our balance of pragmatism and thinking, the only way we would end up in the same situation is by serendipity. And the serendipitous nature would be that we stayed in an environment that would attack our pragmatic and thinking to choosing a platform. So if our experience differ is when when our experiences favor one or the other. And my thought was immediately that you already went to Japan or any country, right? Any country that is, say, like the East, like in the sense of like, oh, you know what? It doesn't actually hold up anymore for China, does it? But there is a high preference, at least I know in Japan, for iOS. It used to be China as well, or like people who have access to phones, but I don't, it's kind of hard to know at this point, right? Because of the trade wars, right? However, my guess, I already deduced, in my opinion, that you had like a 70% chance that you're on iPhones because of your visit to Japan. That was my initial thought. So it was most likely we would differ. However, I would have made the argument that you probably use both platforms due to pragmatism. Because when someone already asked me before, like, do I do I have iOS or Android? And I said, well, I don't have enough information to make a comment on iOS. Like, do I prefer iOS or Android? I use Android because of the pragmatic uses I have and the flexibility I need. However, I would make the argument that if someone offered me iOS or there's more pragmatic use for it, for my current situation, I'd probably pick up iOS. My mother has Apple products. So it's kind of funny that was I'm curious now if you have any ideas that would differentiate. But would be really fun to see if they're the same. I wish iOS wasn't open. Yes. It's largely because of its open platform. Yeah. Or more open, right? Because Android is your iPhone is still in the Japanese app store, so I can't install US apps. Oh, like fast food apps and stuff. But on Android, you can install apps from anywhere. Yeah, in that regards, it's definitely a nice pragmatic feature to have. This year I'm due for a refresh, so I haven't decided if I was gonna pick up one or the other yet. I haven't decided. I have till Techtober, right? I have till Techtober, so plenty of time to negotiate until Techtober. Bit wait. Donatsu o mo this is one more. Mo hitotsu?
ドーナツ ドーナツをもう一つください。
Hitotsu, okay. Hitotsu kudasai. I really want the new iPad, but that's because the Touch ID broke on your existing iPad. Dropped it one too many times and it's really inconvenient. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. It's been a while since I had a tablet though. It does fit that if you're in the iOS ecosystem, you might as well. I mean, if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you might as well splurge a bit on the Apple ecosystem. It's been a while since I've owned a tablet, but I don't travel much anymore. And I don't do anything outside of my current desktop, so I'll say that I haven't found a tablet that I like using as much as an iPad though. Phones, I can go either way, but Android tablets have either been, and the Apple Pen is a lovely experience. That's fair. The Apple Pen. I was like one of the early adopters of the Samsung Flatlit, I guess that's what they call Flatlit. So I had a stylus on my Galaxy for a bit before the Pixels started really, and now I have Pixel phone. But since I do artwork, you don't happen to do artwork, do you? I'm very used to like other tablets and not other like smart tablets per se. So like Wacoms and largely just Wacoms. You tried to do artwork but you can't draw anything. I can design websites though. Shady, I used to say that to myself too, honestly. Like for real, I used to work on like UI design, like UXs, things like that, things that deal with vector, lots of vectoring, tons of vectoring. But you'd be surprised how you had a Wacom bamboo that I bought forever ago because I wanted to be an artist but gave up on that dream. No, don't do that, Shady. I didn't have a dream to become an artist, but I also didn't scare myself away from it. I only started recently though. The last 2 years. I say largely the last 2 years. It's all amateur art. However, it does have its rewards for making. What is tidy up? To clean up. To like organize. You know what? How would you describe tidy up? Shady, in English. Like what would you do to describe tidy up? I want to say clean up, but then clean up isn't quite tidy up. I feel like it's the combination of cleaning and ordering. When you organize, I don't think it's enough to describe tidy up. And I don't think it's strictly cleaning up. I feel like tidy up encompasses both organizing and cleaning up at the same time. Like what I mean is the phrase tidy up as like a nuance of encompassing two different phrases. Because you can clean up without tidying up. It's 40% and 60%. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like 40% cleaning up and 60% organizing. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to use percentages. I would have gone as far as 50-50, but it's pretty much like both. The tidy up is like replacing cleaning and organizing at the same time. Because you can clean up without tidying. Because you don't necessarily need to organize something if you're just cleaning it. You can clean without organizing, and you can organize without cleaning. To some extent. It's a question from XD, so it was a fun question. Okay, all right, one more donut, please. Says me all the time. One more donut, please. I haven't had a donut in a very long time. Whenever I have that one donut in a blue moon, it's like euphoria, momentary euphoria. It makes you want to eat the whole dozen. A baker's dozen. What do you have there? Is ordering the table. 테이블을片付けます. Yeah, ordering the table. Yeah, ordering the table. So it's kind of like you're cleaning off everything. So you're cleaning off everything, and then you're putting things back in order. So like you could be at the same time cleaning the things and then putting your utensils, your place settings onto a table. You introduce your partner to Krispy Kreme. Dude, Krispy Kreme though. OG glazed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you interpret it as getting rid of things you don't need, which is like cleaning up the stuff, and then you're wiping it down so that you're cleaning it up, and then you're putting it back in a specific order that you want it again to tidy up. Yeah, kind of like tidying up your closet. I know that a bunch of people say like to clean a closet, like for example, clean closet, right? If you clean a closet, it's almost strictly to remove something. You're cleaning the closet to remove something like dust, things you don't want, right? And then when you organize a closet, it's like you're ordering things, but it's not for removing. There's no removing, or like there's no input or output. You're rearranging. You're rearranging the things. And then when you tidy up, you do both. You both clean, so you're going to remove something, and then you're going to move them around, right? And if you... Wait. Oh, if you ever hear a Japanese person describe a donut as a mochi, it is the texture of fresh Krispy Kreme donuts. Oh, like QQ. Like QQ? I don't know if that's Japanese, but that's Taiwanese. QQ. At least that's what I heard it in the context of. But QQ. And if you clean out your closet, then you're airing out your dirty laundry. Yeah, you're airing out your dirty laundry. QQ? I don't know how they represent it, but QQ, like this. Not to be confused with QQ, like crying, which is the Western QQ. Language. I tell you, Shady, language. Not QQ as in crying, like cry me a river, or get good. You know, get good, kind of QQ. But QQ as in chewy. But not the same. Like this is not to say this is the same as mochi, mochi. But it kind of like the same element. Like they're describing the texture, QQ, which QQ is for the bubbles, right? For the boba. When you're having boba tea and stuff, you always describe the bobas as QQ. Yeah, QQ, the bubbles in boba tea, right? Yeah, you're right. I looked it up in, yeah, Pleco, yeah. So QQ, the boba tea. Wait, I imagine your husband likes boba tea, right? Otherwise, I might have to reject the idea that your husband is Asian. I just kidding. Not all Asians like boba tea, but I'm telling you, they're nice. Actually, what do you think of boba tea? I think it's like donuts. The reason why we're having this discussion is it's like donuts. I wish it was sustainable to drink like gallons, you know, drink gallons of bubble tea, but it's not sustainable, right? It's the same context as donuts. It's nice to have as a treat every once in a while, but if you consume too much, you're gonna destroy yourself. He liked boba tea too much and he blamed it for him putting on 30 pounds a couple of years ago. Ooh, it wasn't the bubble tea and now he avoids it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it turned out it wasn't the bubble tea. I love bubble tea. I just wish I had fewer calories because I could slam it way too. Yeah, exactly. I figured that'd be the case. Yeah. The kind of conversation you had about donuts immediately made me think of boba tea. And they both have texture words compared to them, right? And they're also both, the texture words are of Asian interest. And at the same time, immediately you start thinking, you can't eat a lot of these stuff. It's gonna destroy you. It's gonna wreck you so hard. I legitimately inhale donuts and boba tea. And they would make so much. It's like you go outside, you know, you're like, maybe you can get a $6 extra large boba tea, and that's like gone in like 15 minutes. Not even. I can't even hold on to an extra large boba tea for less than 15 minutes. Yes, I love First Take. Yep. For all the artists. Yep. Oh, they've been branching out too. They've been branching out. Like even Avril Lavigne had a First Take. For some reason, Avril Lavigne is very popular. Eastside. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I love First Take. Yeah, she's really popular in Japan. Yep. I found out very quickly. But yes, I do watch First Take all the time. Did we already talk about music? Because we already talked about Yorushika, right? I'm pretty sure we already talked about Yorushika. If not, I'm just gonna assume you like Yorushika. I'm pretty sure we talked about this already. If you don't like this band, then we're nothing alike anymore. But you probably like this band. I'm pretty sure we talked about it. Yeah. You tend to use the First Take as a way to discover new Japanese artists. Me too. Me too now, actually. All right. I gotta keep moving here. There are a few things that obviously we have differences, but I also really like Yuri a lot. Yes. Solid. solid. Yuri. I also listen to like old school stuff a lot. Like the harder indie rock, like Sambo Master, and like Asian Kung Fu Generation. Or I mean, if we really want to go back, it's more like Pillows. Old school Pillows. What is this? Blank? Oh. Blank? Oh. Mo hitotsu kudasai. What are you ordering? That looks like an orange juice. Juisu.
ジュース
Juisu works? Review. I don't want to go to the meeting. Well, suck it up and go to the meeting.
ミーティング
Meeting. Meeting. 会いたくないです。Meeting に会いたくないです。Oh no. No, 行きたくないです。
行きたです
Sorry, I was thinking about meeting all of a sudden, but don't want to go to a meeting, not don't want to meet up. Remember way back when I first got into Japanese, this would have been in high school maybe, I rocked out to Utada Hikaru, Kingdom Hearts. You probably played the Kingdom Hearts thing too, simple and clean. Right. Utada Hikaru, I was introduced to Utada Hikaru through Kingdom Hearts, but not before I learned about Ayumi Hamasaki from Gundam, and then that introduced me to TM Revolution. That was my J-pop days, so I used to listen to a lot of J-pop. That was a phase. And then One OK Rock after that, and Gakto. Yes, Gakto is a great one. Throw in El Arc and Seal with Hyde, the singer. There's like Porno Graffiti, and One OK Rock is like the D-Techno Life side of things. D-Techno Life with like Bleach and whatnot. So we're listing all the things. I'm pretty sure all of those sound familiar to you. You still listen to Utada Hikaru. Interesting. I left that phase a little bit. The others not as much unless it's their older stuff, yeah. Like Gakt also had Gundams. Yeah, El Arc and Seal, Ready Steady Go, or Driver's High. Great anime would be Great Teacher Onizuka, right? Onizuka, GTO. And then Full Metal Alchemist, of course. Hearing that name just gave you whiplash. I missed out. My best friends, the triplets, right? They went to I go to this anime convention called Otakon every single year, but I started going the year or two before when El Arc and Seal performed at Otakon. And I was like, ah, dang it. I've gone ever since. But I volunteer and work this convention every year now. It's been this will be my 17th year. This will be my 17th year. Technically, it's my 13th time because of COVID. One of the Otakons were canceled. It was COVID year. So this will be the 25th year of Otakon. And it's pronounced Otakon because it's otaku meets convention. So you could argue like, but it's Otakon, and it's like, nah, it's a combination, East meets West. Otaku meets convention. You could make when I think about Otakon, like a combination of Otakon, I think of Pasokon, but it's more like like with a C instead of a K. But it's spelled with a K though. Otakon. One Last Kiss and Beautiful World, the capo version. Oh, I see. Utada Hikaru is one of your partner's favorite artists. I see. and so we often listen to her when we're driving around. She did the song for the last Evangelion movie, and going to see that movie when it released in Japan was a really special moment for us. So we have fond memories of those songs in particular. I haven't finished watching the Evangelion movies. Yeah, I haven't finished watching. I didn't realize she made a song for it. Interesting. I'll have to get on that. Hello there, Cozy. Hello. But listen, so your partner is not into Ayumi Hamasaki? She was like the OG. I don't know what, I totally messed up her name, but Ayumi Hamasaki was like the OG J-pop. She might have been a generation before Utada Hikaru. Oh, how about this? Okay, I'll throw a curveball. Aya Hirano. Is that her name? Pretty sure it's Aya Hirano. Thanks to Suzumiya. I like her songs. From specifically attached to Suzumiya. When Haruhi Suzumiya was big. Actually, were you still in Japan when this happened? I don't know if that lines up or not. The melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya when this anime was so big, and this was the seiyuu. This was the seiyuu of Suzumiya. She also sings. I don't know. I'm reaching now. All right. Let's keep moving.
フライドチキンをもう一つください。
fried chicken. Okay. Fried chicken をもう okay. もう一つください. One more fried chicken, please. Okay.
池の隣で桜を見ましょう。
池no, interesting. Ike no onari, nearby something. Sounds like pond, right? Ike is pond.
池。
Yeah, Ike. My partner is a massive Evangelion fan from the beginning, has seen and read every single part of the universe. He waited 9 years between Evangelion 3 and Evangelion 3+1, and that movie made him so emotional, I can imagine. 9 years of build up to the ending, and it was perfect. And he also listens to Ayumi Hamasaki. Fair enough. There was another one that was around Utada's and Ayumi's name. Oh, Boa. I don't remember there was a hyphen in her name, but Boa. I don't know if your partner listens to Boa. I went through a phase. I'm sorry. This is my J-pop phase. So, Boa. I don't listen to that much J-pop these days, but Boa. Pretty sure there's no hyphen. But she was a rival. She was like a Utada Hikaru rival. Boa is a South. I think Boa is Korean. Yeah, she was Korean. Yeah, she's the queen of K-pop, quote unquote, queen of K-pop. I don't know how far you're. I wouldn't be surprised as yeah, like she was a rival. So if your partner is not like outside of that in the pop scene, Boa was very popular internationally overseas as well. The rival, the queen of K-pop. Memories. I don't want to tell people things. Like I have this soft spot for Keikona music. Oh yeah, Morning Matsume. Yeah, Morning Matsume. Oh my gosh. Now we're going into the J-pop, like J-pop, what do you call them? Big groups. The J-pop supergroups, like the gigantic supergroups. Yes. Yep. AKB. Yep. AKB 48. 48. Yep. There's another one. It has a number in it. There's another Japanese group. Why can't I think of it? Did they have a number in their name? I think that group is still going right now. I'm out of touch now, by the way. I'm way out of touch. Let's see. We should Ike no tonari de chikaku no, just kidding. Sakura o mimashou. Okay, we should look at the cherry blossoms next to the pond. There's a bunch now. AKB 48 still exists, though none of the original. Yeah, because they graduated. Yep. Yep. Well, labels rotate groups. It's the group's name because of the industry, right? I watched a documentary a little bit, like 2 or 3 documentaries about how like K-pop and the J-pop industry manages the image of the labels, right? Like the group's labels. So it's more the symbolic namesake as opposed to, and those members that move on to do whatever they can from garnered from that, and like the rigors and all the stuff that they have to do, like how they rotate members and how you get into a group. Yeah, the industry is incredibly insane. Yeah, and the documentaries are about the truth, you know, behind the scenes. I like deep cuts and behind the scenes of how industry works, right? So even like how writers guilds work, like in cinema, and like how like currently the landscape of live streaming services and how they manage creative labor supplies and stuff like that. The documentary on like mangaka, like the work culture behind anime deadlines and stuff, was inspired off like Miyazaki. When people talk about the documentaries about Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli, and then when you start getting into the deep cuts of the work culture behind anime, producing anime and stuff, it's really quite incredibly almost dark and incredibly like non-sustainable in a way. Your introduction to K-pop was through a show called Beauties Teach the K-pop Stars, or something like that. Got me into U-Kiss and MBLAQ. All right. What is the thing right now? This is, I'm probably showing my boomer. The last time I heard about like some crazy K-pop thing, it was Pink, right? Blackpink? Is Blackpink a K-pop group? I'm so out of touch. I don't want to like jump on anyone's thing. I'm not boomer in this. I no longer really participate in keeping up with the pop scene. I'm like an indie person. I'm very, very much indie. I don't even think Yorushika qualifies as mainstream. Anime production needs to be changed for sure. It's what made the Kyoani situation. so much sadder since that's one of the few animation studios that treat their staff really well. Yeah. Like, I really love what they produce. At the same time, it helps one get grounded. I like to ground myself in how much it takes to keep standards up, right? It makes it so that the end user isn't always feeling self-entitled because there are so many things that go on to produce these things. And if you're in that shoes, it's hard to empathize with that without actually knowing this, or at least getting a little bit semblance of what is responsible, what is currently how they're operating to present these. Yeah, it's a great appreciation for what you actually consume all the time.
池の近くで桜を見ましょうか。池の
wait.
池の近くで桜を見ましょうか。近くで
It is the same phrase, only in reverse. 桜を見ましょうか。
見ましか。池の近くで桜を見ましょうか。
見ましょうか。Sure. 池の近くで桜を見ましょうか。We should. The last phrase, we already did this.
池の隣でピクニックをしましょうか。
Yeah, I think K-pop right now is Blackpink, yeah, BTS for sure, and Twice, yeah, yep. Wasn't there Bang too? Is Bang still around, or did they break up? I thought Bang was going. By the way, all this K-pop stuff was largely due to my sister and others that are acquainted with my sister, because I really know very little about them. I just know their namesake. I just formed a massive crush on the guys that were on that TV show, so listen to their music, and they had some great music. The last time I listened, okay, this is how far back I go. Someone brought up BTS a couple times, maybe a couple years ago, and I watched a talk show that, you know, like BTS was really big, so they ended up on the talk show. I had just happened to watch a clip of a talk show, and then because of that, I watched Smooth Like Butter, or is it just called Butter? That song, and I thought that song was pretty entertaining. I think the song was just called Butter. That was the last song I listened to. So that's like a couple years ago. Oh yeah, Big Bang. Yeah. A bit ago. Oh, they broke up. Okay. Okay, I see. I think the most from the group was, yeah, G-Dragon. Yep. The names. Okay. Last thing. I know I'm digressing a little too much, but last thing I have to say about names and about first takes and stuff. I saw a headline from an NHK site, or like a network on YouTube, like a channel that's affiliate kind of covering topics, and there was a band that is clearly Japanese, I think, or maybe it's not Japanese. I'm curious if anyone knows this, but their band name is Creepy Nuts. I don't know if it's a rap group or a hip hop group or like but Creepy Nuts. Like, yep. That's the last thing I saw when it comes to like the hip scene right now. Creepy Nuts. They are supremely talented. Okay, alright. Well, there you go. That's as far as I went. Yeah, BTS has catchy music. I did some research into them to see why they were so famous, and apparently their lyrics outside the pop scene gets really into. Yes, yep, I did a deep dive into that for a bit. Their lyrics are incredibly underestimated, like the deepness in BTS's lyrics. You know, it deals with a lot of depression and emotional trauma, you know, and overcoming adversity, basically. So it's very motivational. And that's one of the great, like, the things that made, I forgot what the BTS groupies are called. But yeah, those people. Yeah, creepy nuts is what came up on my algorithm recently. Okay. 池の隣でピクニックをしましょうか? Should we have a picnic next to the pond?
この屋台でフライドポテトを買います。
Oh yeah, that's right. The army. Yes, the army. That's right. They went by the BTS army. Yeah, the army. Man. I do know one place where I'm pretty sure we do not have an overlap though, to prove that I'm not an AI copy of you. I know a couple. I know a couple too. But let me hear yours first. I'll exchange one that I know probably isn't going to happen because of our upbringing. One of your favorite band duo is 21 Pilots? Get out of here. I'm out. No, it's not. What I mean is, like, you're right. That's a solid one because of our upbringing. Since you went to Japan, a cheap one I could say is something that's so ingrained. I know how to cook Chinese food. That's like a really cheap one. You know, if anything you can pull off is anything pre like adolescence. So like if you go further back to a phase where we no longer have like intellectual curiosity being melded, anything that, and what I mean by I know how to cook Chinese food, I mean like American Chinese food. Yeah, you can make a quesadilla. Yeah, see, now we're digging into our cultural stuff, our cultural upbringings. Yeah, for sure. You might be considering like those are superficial things, but nah, they're ingrained. Ingrained. What is my go-to dish to make for people? Mapo tofu. That's go-to dish. I even feel like at this point you have considered making mapo tofu at some point. Right? Yeah. We're actually having that for dinner tonight? Gosh darn it. Yep. There you go. Yep. The things that are available now, though, I think shady. If we go to the current present day, I think we can probably lock in incredibly suspicious things. Like incredibly suspiciously similar things. Man, freaking Ed Sheeran. Wow.
屋台
屋台. Okay, 屋台. この屋台で、フライドポテト No, fried. Is that fried potato? Yeah, fried potato を買います. Okay. I'm going to buy another one, either influenced by upbringing or my more flamboyant leanings, would be that I love the Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Laboratory. I like both. I love both of them. I actually watched Powerpuff Girls multiple times. I even tried to watch the reboot of Powerpuff Girls. Didn't go so hot. And recently I watched all of Dexter's Laboratory again, right after I watched Invader Zim, because Invader Zim got renewed. So I watched Invader Zims. Yeah, Powerpuff Girls did not. but Invader Zim got renewed recently. So I watched all of Dexter's Laboratory only after watching Invader Zim. What of the 1,000 Power Puff Girls reboot? Yeah, that's what we were talking about, XD. Yeah, Powerpuff Girls. The reboot was meh. I watched all of Teen Titans again. So, speaking of Ayumi Hamasaki, Avatar, yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Watched it multiple times. I even watched the live action recently, the Netflix adaptation of. I even watched M. Night Shyamalan's movie, and I watched all of Legends of Korra. So, yeah, that doesn't. Oh, how about here? I'll throw one out to see if if it's recent, but it's outside of our spectrum. Troll Hunters, originally created by Guillermo del Toro. All of Troll Hunters, the Tales of Arcadia. It's on Netflix. That might be a left ball thing, but maybe. You're trying to convince your partner to watch The Last Airbender, but he won't because he doesn't like the animation style, but it's one of your favorite. Okay. Yeah. I like Del Toro. So, Guillermo del Toro's work. Like anything that, a lot of things that he has touched upon, I really enjoy Del Toro's work. Like Pan's Labyrinth. Ever since Pan's Labyrinth. Let's not start on Pacific Rim, right? Pacific Rim 1, right? Talking about an intersection of Japanese culture and Western culture. You know, like East meets West, Pacific Rim. The first one. The first Pacific Rim. The one that was directed and created by... you wish Pacific Rim has a second movie? It does. I think it actually has 3 movies. But not a second film directed and created by Del Toro. Though, to be fair, I watched The Last Airbender, the cartoon in Japanese, and the humor doesn't really cross the language barrier too successfully, in my opinion. It doesn't. I absolutely agree. It doesn't. And I think it's the reverse problem. The pacing and the animations still require the stringency, right? It's much like the reverse, where when you have the eccentricities of English and the pacing of English cadence versus Japanese, the reverse doesn't... It's very difficult. It requires... like, something so beloved requires a lot of, like, fine nuance control, right? And a lot of times the reverse is true too, and this is one of those few cases where, many cases, but not in this regards, where, yeah. And to me, the animation style is incredible. I like the animation style because of its Chinese influence, not the Japanese influences, because it's actually far closer to Chinese culture, not Japanese culture. So I could kind of see the dissonance and less popularity among Japanese people. Oh, speaking of things that don't cross the language cultural barrier, is stand-up comedy. Yikes. Yeah, let's not talk about my attempt to understand Osaka humor. Like Osakan humor. Oh my gosh. But I do like it, just it's not the same. He does not understand American stand-up at all, which makes sense given how much it relies on cultural norms. Yeah. Or subverting them. Yeah. The reverse is so funny too. I like it, but not in the same way that you would like American humor. Like American stand-up is, woof, that's gonna be rough. You tried to show him Bo Burnham? Okay. And it told me to turn it off because he thought Bo Burnham was a... Selfish butthead. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. I think. Wait. Let me think of stand-up comedy. There's this one guy. I think if there's any like straight man humor, that might land. There's this one, I keep forgetting his name, but he says things with incredible, like, it might be British too. I think British humor might land a little bit better than American stand-up, but anything that's straight-laced, you know, something closer to the funny man, you know, the straight man and the funny man routine, but without the funny man. If you know what I mean. Like, if they drop the funny man, if you find someone who's like really straight, as in the straight and narrow, they make observations and they're funny with observations. But the problem is that that person also needs to have cultural norms that are relatable to that person. So it would have to be someone who's like Japanese American per se, like possibly a Japanese American who is playing the straight ball, where they talk about like things living in the United States, being a Japanese person would say things like you know, you have a problem when you get sushi in a landlocked state or something. I don't know. I'm not a comedian. I'm very, very terrible at comedy. My only thought was like, well, yeah, where do you get the sushi at a landlocked state? Yeah, I think there's way too much there. Maybe after he lives here for another 10 years. I think so too. I think after 10 years, that will do it. That will do it. I don't know if you've ever watched this person, since our YouTube, Shady, our YouTube preferences are very similar, but do you know a channel called Lost in the Pond? I feel like Lawrence is someone... Lawrence might be someone who... I can't even spell Lawrence. Lawrence? Is this how you spell Lawrence? I think this type of humor resonates, but only after a couple years. Like, Lawrence is a transplant from Great Britain, and the way he talks about things in the United States and then compare it to their place of British culture, that's kind of that type of in your face. Yeah, you watch a lot of linguistics. He talks about linguistics. Yeah, so he intersects American culture, contrasting American culture and British culture, while having a heavy emphasis on linguistics. And the way he talks about it is that straight-laced thing that my parents love too. Like, I would say the Asian side of me likes straight-laced things. Like, yeah, no bidets in the US. Proceed to laugh. You know, like that kind of thing. Like, well, my butt is always you know, like, my butt is always 80%-ish clean or something, and like make a bidet joke where like, oh, well, we have to buy toilet paper. Proceeds to laugh. Or something like that. I don't know how to really element it, but yeah. So we had to buy a bidet when we got our own place. Yeah, Japan changed it. Yeah, that makes sense. So I feel that's something, along with puns, but the puns have to be Japanese understood for your partner, probably. Like, my parents, like, there's something about Asians, in my opinion, with puns and the layering of puns and like dad jokes, but they have to be relatable dad jokes, and they have to be like very stilted in delivery. Like, oh yeah, man, people say life is cheaper these days, but here I'm thinking $6 eggs. Proceeds to laugh, right? That kind of thing. Like, their observations, they're very very salient observations that you live in today, right? Like, man, back in the day, I was trying to find a book, and now I'm trying to figure out which book that I need to read. Or like want to read, that kind of thing. Maybe like a take on the internet or something. It's like these days, all I'm thinking about is, am I gonna have to subscribe to drive my car one day? That's funny, because it's like truth, but at the same time scary, but it's also nuance. Like one day I'm gonna walk out and I'm gonna say, have I paid my subscription to get into my car? That's kind of, in my opinion, that's the kind of thing that resonates with incredibly pragmatic cultures. You're talking about like life and observations that you see and fear and think about all the time, as opposed to like making commentary on people's emotions or how ridiculous and being hyperbolic with like how complaining and tenuous human emotions are. I feel it's rarely ever that in Asian directed conversation. Like situational irony is fantastic because it's literally the situation, right? You got yourself into a really weird predicament. That's funny. Not figuratively what happens if you thought there was a misunderstanding of certain things because you have emotional compromised things. That's usually not very resonating. And oftentimes American stand-up involves emotional compromised things. Like, oh, a husband overreacting only to lead to a bunch of misunderstanding later down the road, as opposed to, oh, something happened and now the two are maybe inexperienced in encountering and solving that. That's like the reverse direction, where something has happened and then incompetence ensues, right? Instead of the person being incompetent and then creating and precipitating a series of weird occurrences. It's kind of like a characters versus world kind of thing. It also breathes into a lot of the contrast between like American cartoons and anime for a sake. Like some of the mainstays of American cartoons are like Family Guy or Simpsons. What propagates all the situations in those humorous situations? It's the characters. The characters drive all the things. They're character centric. But when you make observations on the world and its humor, like the humorous and elegance and harmony and weirdness of the world itself that shapes the characters, then comedy can be a little bit more resonating. Like Expensive Eggs. It's $10? Oh, wow, that's really expensive egg. I struggle with Japanese humor because a lot of it is wordplay, yeah, and homophones. Oh yes. All right, you're gonna give me severe whiplash to get you back to Japanese. In Japanese, you have okay. Okay. Omake. Okay, which is a freebie, something free, okay. And then make, I'm guessing it's make. Make is a loss, and O is an honorific prefix, yeah? So an honorific loss is something that you may build loyalty or paint your business in a positive light, yeah. AKA something you give your customer for free. Oh, that's really cute. That's super elegant. I don't think it's funny. At the same time, it's beautiful. Yeah. Here's one that I do that myself. So today I learned the word jiko. Jiko. And it's translated to accident. And I use the euphemism because I don't accident is often a lost or unfortunate circumstance. So to make something funny or like to make something elegant in an Asian way, you put something to subvert it, like a happy accident. Then when you think of happy accidents, you could say you peed your pants by accident, right? Pee your pants, but you pee your pants, say, out of laughing. And that's funny. This would be a funny humor situation. You peed your pants out of a happy accident. So it's playing on the word and subverting the nature of the word. For example. So it's kind of like that, where you play on the word offsets the meanings of words and turns around, like the turn of phrase turns around, even within words. So this would be something that I feel would resonate with someone that are Asian focused. So this would be cute. I would think this is endearing and funny if told as a story. Where like they set up for an accident, but then it turns out to be a happy accident, which is a euphemism for something like peeing your pants, which kids do, and you might end up talking about a kid, like your kid, who had a happy accident, right? Instead of describing like, oh, getting peed in the face or changing a diaper, how it makes you feel, that kind of stand-up is more American, where like you talk about, oh, how you don't want to change the diaper and like, oh, it smells terrible, and then talk about like the marital roles in determining that kind of thing, right? This is more about the language of accidents. You ain't cool unless you pee your pants. Real talk. I'm pretty sure as a kid I probably peed my pants at least once. I don't remember it, but it's probably happened. Yeah, sorry, Billy Madison, yeah. And I feel, I don't know how often Japanese people quote for comedy. Do they quote for comedy very often? I wouldn't know because I don't know Japanese quotes. Like, it'd be... Not that you're aware of? Yeah. Quoting is really fun. I think that's the closest thing you can get to the pun nature. I do have to admit though, if I had to guess, if your husband is Japanese, right, and has some command of the English language, right, to an extent, I think if there is a comedian who tells sort of dad jokes, but subverts dad jokes, and it just so happens to involve the English that involves the comprehension of your husband, that could be really funny. Because puns are very funny. A lot of times. And they're usually very prevalent in subverting dad jokes. So like a evolution on dad jokes, but they're predicated on puns. So if you know what your partner's English comprehension is and find a comedian that works on puns, that could be pretty fantastic. It would hit really, really hard because puns are hilarious, at least in my opinion. It's not a coincidence either. I heckin' love puns. Puns are fantastic. You and your sister share lexicon is 90% rom-com quotes. Oh, I don't have a lot of good rom-com jokes. Rom-com quotes. I don't have quotes, a lot of quotes in general, actually. Now that I think about it. Rom-com quote. What's a good rom-com quote? Like, I can't bring them up. I can't recall very well without context. If you tell me a quote, there might be a chance I might know the reference. But I haven't dedicated to bringing up those quotes. Not the way my memory works. Alright. I'm going to buy fried chicken. Or french fries. French fries at the stall. At this stall. at this. Is this a food
Yatai.
stall? Oh, it's a food stall. Yatai.
あ、屋台があります。何を食べますか？
There was a joke someone said on Overwatch when he was playing that. After I explained it to him, it made him laugh super hard. It's not family friendly, so if I wrote it to you to not read it out loud. Okay. Let me read it. My sister and I quote movies like She's the Man, Fired Up, Legally Blonde, Bring It On, and Grandma's Boy all the time. Ooh, okay. Now we're getting into things we don't share. She's the Fire. She's the Man, not sure. Fired Up, not sure. Legally Blonde, yes. Bring It On, yes. Grandma's Boy, not sure. I'm espresso depresso guy. So mine's more like things like Joker recently, The Whale, like extremely espresso depresso things. I watch like deep cuts into human condition. I'm always about the human condition most of the time. And if I had to take a quote from them, it's probably from these things. The Whale is pretty depressing. It'd probably be a line like, "You're the greatest," you know, something about never making a difference in one's life. There was a guy he matched up with like 4 times in a row, and every time the guy said, "I'm going to make you scream" without the S. Oh, okay. It's fine. That's alright. Sorry, kids. That's alright. That's alright. You were talking about the honorific. I learned that in Chinese reading you use go, and kun Japanese reading you use o, like gokazoku, yeah, and oshushi, yeah. Yep. Yeah, what you call it in Duolingo, they use pretty much all the honorific form additions, including slightly non-honorific if it was able to be presented. And go kazoku is a good example. Ryoshin and go ryoshin is another example. Or the transition between your personal and trying to talk about some third thing, third person thing, like haha versus okasan, and then like chichi versus otosan, that kind of thing. And then all the honorific stuff like okashi for snacks or snack, okashi, right? Okashi. Even the honorific, the fun joke that I always remember is what was it? Someone made a comment about honorary butt, but I forgot. Oh no, I forgot the context. It was around otearai probably. Oh, oshiri? Is that honorary butt? Yeah, honorary butt. Yeah, that was the comment. Oshiri. Yeah, oshiri. That's it. And I haven't learned this yet in Duolingo, but oshiri, the honorary butt. They honorifies the butt. And it was around the time of otearai, the honorary restroom, otearai, when I still had trouble constantly juggling ahs and ohs. So there were things that had the honorary ohs, but there were a lot of things that start with ah, like atama ga ii, or like abimas, and then suddenly there's a lot of oh things, so I got them back and forth before. So I used to say atearai, and then Indy gave me crap, and then after every time otearai shows up, I'm like, yes, Indy, otearai, I got it, I got this, I got this. It's still fairly common though, like, because a lot of ahs and oh predicates still there. It takes a while. Anyways, honorifics. You haven't watched The Whale, but I've heard it's simultaneously amazing and depressing. Yeah. If you want me, if you like espresso depresso stuff that deals with the human condition, and you like, because I actually think Japanese films do quite a bit of that, but in a different way. They tackle less of the emotional component, but they tackle the realness of how to deal with it. So while Japanese cinema has a lot of stoicism, as in like the stoicism is what's elegant and poetic about the Japanese culture, in the Western world, like the Western cinematography, especially like more expressive cultures, those ones tackle the emotional expression of those, and it can be very eye-opening between the like stoicism, the overcoming adversity through stoicism versus overcoming adversity through expressionism, as in being expressive. And The Whale is a combination of both of them. It is both amazing stoicism, but at the same time incredibly expressively depressing. Incredibly. Maybe we will learn it on the hygiene lesson. Oh yeah, the honorific butt. Honorific butt. There was a Japanese show that I really wanted to watch again, but I can't remember what it was called for the life of you. It was about a family that was struggling to exist and about their hardships. That's so many of them. There's so many of those. And if you're into Chinese, just pick up any Chinese film, any Chinese show. All of their shows are about the hardship of struggling to exist in their lives. Any of the modern dramas deal with hardships. That is like the main drama, like Chinese dramas. That's the main setting. How life sucks and the struggling to exist over and over again. Yeah. You got really into Asian boys love, especially Taiwan and Japanese, because of how emotional they are. I see. You're a glutton for emotional punishment, I suppose. Have you seen... I would love to see what you think of this movie. Hold up. I'm getting so off track. Maybe we'll call this a half day. Hold up. Oh yeah. It's a movie called Love is Strange. Love is Strange. I like Western modern love. These are dramas, so hold on to your hats. They're not rom-coms, unfortunately. They can be like rom-com adjacent, but I like modern love, contemporary love movies a lot from the Western, like Writers Guild stuff. Love is Strange is one of them. It stars Alfred Molina. I keep forgetting his last name. Alfred Molina? Yeah, Molina and John Lithgow. John Lithgow? I don't really know how to... Yeah. Molina and Lithgow. I don't know if you've seen that before. I think that's it's a really beautiful... Yeah. I figured because we might have similar preferences for like performing arts as well. I think it's a beautiful one when you mentioned things about like Asian boys love, that type of subject matter. Love is Strange is a really big one. I recently watched Holdovers. The Holdovers. Low key, I'm a Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti whenever he's doing indie films. But the Holdovers recently, that was fantastic. It deals with a different type of love. Compassion between adversity. Like an unexpected, yeah, Giamatti, unexpected companionship. Like you know, the non-suspecting companionship forged out of serendipity, as in when multiple people are having hardships, somehow when they're together they were able to bolster each other, and that's fantastic too. I love unexpected companionship, or not unexpected, what is the word that I'm looking for? Yeah, I guess it's unexpected companionship. Companionship in the weird, unexpected places, right? It's a fantastic movie. The ending leaves a little bit... these movies tend to be open-ended endings, so you kind of have to deal with it. So it doesn't necessarily provide closure in the same way that rom-coms do. I think rom-coms, one element that distinguishes the type of movie that I'm talking about with rom-coms is that it's open-ended. There's rarely ever a lack of closure. I mean, there's rarely ever significant closure. The idea is life goes on, right? It tends to go on. What is hardship? Hardship is the idea of things that bad things, or things that hurt someone, things that drag someone down, right? Bad things is hardship. So if you ever have like a bout of hardship, maybe like a death, grief is an example of hardship, right? Grief, depression is an example of hardship. So we use at least I'm using hardship in the sense of this is the general category. Yeah. XD. Have you seen The Bear? I've only watched the first season, but that show was very gripping for you. I need to finish season 2. I haven't gotten to The Bear yet. Ooh, I'm gonna add that to the list. I totally forgot about The Bear. I've only recently been catching up with a lot of shows. Lots of shows. So what are your thoughts about why did you write Giamatti with the exclamation mark? What is your experience with Giamatti? Okay, let me continue this. 屋台があります。何を食べますか？甘い wait sweet? 甘いものが食べたいです。Like, I want to eat sweet things. That's fair. Oh, what kind of food stalls? No, we have foods. There are food stalls. What do you want to eat? Or what are you going to eat? Sweet stuff. I want to eat sweet stuff. That's fair.
池の前でピクニックをしましょう。
You enjoy his work? Yeah, one wild film back in the day with Owen Wilson? Yeah. Oh, wait, Cleve Owen. Oh. That I've never forget. Cleve Owen. Who's Cleve Owen? I haven't seen Shoot 'Em Up. The immediate movie that I was thinking of, and I already spoiled it because I said Owen Wilson. Wait, hold up. Maybe no, I'm not thinking. No, that's not what I'm thinking of. Am I? Oh no, I'm thinking of someone else. A different movie. Not Owen Wilson. It's what's his name? The guy that played opposite of him in Wedding Crashers. Was that the same guy? Maybe it wasn't. Hold up. Who was in here? Oh no, no, that's not it. I was thinking of oh, never mind. Different movie. But I was thinking of Sideways. The specific movie I'm thinking of is Sideways. Not Shoot 'Em Up. Oh wait, maybe I have seen Shoot 'Em Up. Hold up. Oh, I have seen Shoot 'Em Up. But that's his like, I don't know. That's his like B-roll stuff. Come on, man. What'd you call it? Giamatti. I like watching his stuff because he's always playing the average Joe, the person that life sucks but he makes do. Oh, that's what you haven't because it was very turn off your brain off. Yeah, okay. Yeah, most of Giamatti's films and shows that I watch is the one where like he's always the misunderstood person, the constantly misunderstood person, but making going through hardship all the time. So a great family one would be Win-Win. I typically go to Win-Win. Sideways is more for those who have a midlife crisis. If you have a midlife crisis right now and you're middle-aged, perhaps Sideways might resonate with you. Win-Win is a father figure. If you're a father figure. There's another one called like A Modern Life. It's that's if you're trying to become a father figure. Wait. I think it's called wait, hold up. It's a modern something. Hold up. I am a fan of. Oh, it's called Private Life. My bad. It's called Private Life. Private Life. If you're a prospective parent, that's a take on trying to become. And then if you're really into American history, like if you really love American history, there's a mini series called John Adams, or just Adams. I think it's literally just called Adams. And Paul Giamatti plays the role of John Adams, one of the founding fathers, the second president. That one was great. I think that's his. If I had to say which role is exemplary of his career, is Adams, the mini-series Adams. I don't remember if Adams have an S or not. Sorry. I think it's John Adams with an S. Yeah. It always feels weird to put an S at the end of the name. You can't hear that name without thinking of Hamilton anymore. Yeah, John Adams. Yeah, founding father. Hamilton was involved in the Treasury, the establishment of the Treasury. Okay. Yeah, if you want to see a really... Adams is it's like both amazing and depressing so much. I think one of the things I watch a lot of is the life of someone. So, you know how like for example, Benedict Cumberbatch portrays a lot of influential people, you know, the people who start their lives, they like start their lives rough, peaks, and then you see their decline all in the span of the movie. I watch a lot of those too, like reenactments and dramatizations of quote unquote famous people. And what I mean by quote unquote famous people is because they're famous post-mortem, or like posthumous, or however you say that, where these people, yeah, Imitation Game would be a great example of Cumberbatch's thing. The more recent movie that I saw was The Electric Life of what is it, The Cat Drawer. The Electric Life of Louis Wayne. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's a British artist. Sorry, British author. You see the early days, the peak days, and then the decline, and the endings are brutal. They are incredibly brutal because most of those influential people end up passing away with regret and stuff, because remarkable people don't necessarily have wonderful lives or time for themselves often. You watch Imitation Game with your parents and cried super hard, and I hadn't come out at that time. Oh, so I told them it was because of how influential Alan Turing was in my profession, which he was. Yeah, you're in computer sciences. But the tears were more so for the other reason. Yeah. It's really tough. Like, man. I watch them all the time, but I get wrecked all the time too. It's kind of the whole thing about keeping yourself grounded, keeping yourself humbled. Even the most famous and influential people in the world, you celebrate all their high rises, but you also forget all the things that they exchanged for being that extraordinary. Extraordinary comes with exchange. I don't want to call it a sacrifice. I think a sacrifice would imply that they didn't find joy or purpose in, like, they felt like it was something they gave up. I don't think those individuals aren't compelled to think of what they gave up, but more what they were pursuing, and it wasn't enough. You think that you found Japanese drama I was talking about before. It's called All About My Siblings, as the title was translated. I can't find anywhere to watch it outside of Japan anymore though. Oh. How much of Japanese programming reaches outside of Japan? I have always been curious about that. Because much like what I think about Chinese programming, I reckon only a very small amount of Chinese programming actually reach outside of the country. What is the exact meaning of wrecked or wrecked? I see it at video games when my team wins and say get wrecked to the other team. Oh no. Oh no, XD. XD, if I didn't talk to you over a couple days, I would have thought you'd be joking. But yeah, getting wrecked. Oh my gosh, wrecked. I picked this up too. It's getting wrecked. When you wreck, you have an accident. It's kind of like an accident, but it's like getting messed up. Getting messed up. Or getting broken. Honestly, I'm gonna say broken beyond repair a lot of times, but maybe not beyond repair. but like a car wreck. It's usually a car wreck is where that came from, in my opinion. That's how I think of it when you get into a wreck. But I would throw in my own idiom. My own idiom here, an American idiom. It's foobarred. How's that, Shady? How's that for English? Getting foobarred. Yeah, yeah. Basically, I got destroyed. It took me a while to recover. Like, you have to, you know, when you wreck something, you have to put it back together. Put yourself back together. Or put it back together. Like, in pieces. You are broken in pieces, and then you have to put yourself back together. Foobar. Yeah. Good old foobar. I'm waiting for the day that this phrase comes back. Speaking of boomer phrases, yeah, foobar. Foobar is definitely a boomer phrase. That I'm gonna give it like 10 years. I'm gonna say in the next decade, this word might actually come back. In trend back. Foobarred. Which is basically messed up beyond repair. Messed up beyond repair. Quite a bit does not, thanks to like Vicky and Netflix. Netflix. I see. Foobar is such a good phrase. My job involves working with the military, so I hear that phrase all the time still. Ah, I see. Yeah, effed up beyond all recognition. Yeah, and I replaced recognition. Yeah, I replaced recognition with repair as a way to like make it closer to a literal sense. Because I believe things that can be repaired, they don't have to resemble what they used to recognize. So this is going way deeper into this, but when you repair something, sometimes you're not trying to repair it back to what it was recognized as, in my opinion, a lot of times. This is a deep cut, but I feel like repairing means to make it into something stronger. It can become stronger than it once was, and in a undesirable sense, it can become weaker than it was. But I like to gravitate on the idea that repairing something doesn't necessarily lead back to what it originally was recognized, kind of thing. A new one that I heard lately was WAG, which stands for wild. Oh, a wild guess. I see. A wild guess. Okay. Interesting. All right. We need to get more lessons in. Oh, Vicky has mainland China stuff. Oh yeah. Netflix has some. Netflix definitely has some. I noticed it. I almost try to encourage my parents to try out the Netflix catalog because they watch a lot of satellite television. So they watch things broadcast out of China for like programming and news and stuff. Okay. 池の前でピクニックをしましょう。Okay. We should have a picnic in the pond in front of the pond. Oh, you know, they probably included this phrase because now they're showing the flexibility of interpreting suru with the like this phrasing. because they recently did the traveling. No, not traveling, but means. They recently did a means thing here for viewing, for the cherry blossom viewing. Yasumi, no, hanami o suru. You paid for an IPTV for a while to watch live TV from Japan. I see. While you lived in the States. Great service, but can be quite expensive. Yeah, my parents do something similar with a different network for that type of growing, and it's quite expensive. And they keep hiking the price. Understandably so, because it's very difficult to negotiate things from a different country, especially China. You know, the geopolitics and whatnot. We should buy snacks at a cheaper food stall. Okay. At a cheaper? Motto. Oh, they're bringing back motto. So, motto yasui. Yatai de okashi. Okashi o kaimashou. Okay. We should buy stir-fried noodles at this food stall. Oh, hey, I have a question for you, Shady. I asked myself... Oh, it's time to wake the hubby up, grabbing to wrap up, getting... Okay, thank you. After this question, one question. So, they introduced stir-fried noodles as yakisoba, right? But I have a question. When you go into a yakisoba place, do you get yaki udon and yaki ramen? And do they still refer to it as yakisoba? Because Duolingo defines this as stir-fried noodles, but it's stir-fried soba. So do they actually say yaki udon and yaki ramen when they use that? Because we're talking about like pasta now, in a sense. It would still be yakisoba? Oh, okay. Yaki udon does exist, but it's a separate thing. Oh, okay. So they are using yakisoba as generically referring to noodles, like the form factor of noodles. So when they when you go to a yakisoba place, the noodles really, the yakisoba is referring generically to noodles, and you could expect different noodles referring to as yakisoba, as opposed to like yaki, right? Yaki and soba, which soba is a type of noodle. You see what I'm getting at here? It's like calling penne is like not exactly the same, but it's like calling penne linguine. If you know what I mean. Like, they're different enough that there are separate Japanese names for soba, udon, and ramen, right? Like, they're separate names, but they're all noodles per se. Traditionally, yakisoba would be made from soba, yeah, but nowadays they're made of wheat, flour, Chinese style noodles. Okay, so it's a traditional thing. Okay, like what do you call it? It's a inherited word that has changed. Okay, fair enough. I have been curious about that because on labels and stuff for yakisoba, it's not specifically a soba noodles anymore, right? Like you're not buying yakisoba to specifically expect soba. So, and I do love soba, but at the same time, I was really curious, in Japan, do they do the same now, where when they say yakisoba, it's the idea of yakisoba, like stir-fried noodles, as opposed to the idea of stir-fried soba. Interesting. The more you know. The more you know. Like for example, sushi, right? Last thing, like sushi, it doesn't. It also includes things that are not raw fish. If you know what I mean, like tamago. Like what do you call sushi? You know, sushi with tamago. um, that kind of thing. Anyways, I'll let you go, and yeah, I should complete these lessons now. Lots of good talk. Thanks for sharing. As always, always a blast.
この
この
屋台
屋台、この屋台、
焼
焼き
きそば
そば
を
を買いましょう。yes, 買いましょ
買いましょ
う。Wait, 買いましょう。What am I missing here? この、屋台、oh, で、at a food stall. Yeah, sushi has turned into something on a bit of rice at this point. Exactly. Exactly. Like, not to be confused with, yeah, maki sushi, which is what sushi often becomes here in, yeah, American, the sushi roll, yeah. And for example, like, which is separate from sashimi, which is on rice as well, slice. And even more so, damburi, as opposed to like a beef bowl. Right, gyudon and stuff. Damburi has taken on a life of its own too. Anything on rice. Donburi. I keep saying donburi. Donburi is all over the place, and it doesn't help that bibimbap, right? There's bibimbap. Yeah, it's the start of donburi. But then we have bibimbap. So now it's basically now it's rice bowls. Let's not even talk about like Hawaiian influence. With poke. Poke donburi? Poke rice bowls? Oh my gosh. All right. We're gonna stop. We're gonna enjoy your mapo tofu, by the way. I'm jealous, but enjoy your. I'm envious. I think the word is envious. I envy your mapo tofu. Perhaps I'll go make some of my own in the future. Have a good one, Shady. Have a good one. All right. Focus.